Welcome to Elevate and Illuminate the Empowerment Podcast, episode number 4. Um,
Yeah.
Still excited going through this honeymoon phase. Here our purpose is to inspire, to uplift, to motivate, and to enrich our communities. So we do that in a variety of ways through this platform. We bring various conversations. Um, to help equip us in a lot of areas where underprivileged, underserved communities might lack, and just giving it, sharing information, and helping to empower and uplift one another. Um, Today, I have a special guest. Um, I'm going to digress for a moment and allow her to introduce herself to you all and tell you what it is that she do.
All right. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Jamarcus, first of all, thank you for having me. I am so elated to even be here and be able to share what the real estate market is doing and how to get involved in the real estate market. So, my name is Doretha Wallace, and I'm with DW Real Estate Group. I've actually been a real estate agent for 27 years now. Um, So I actually own my own company, DW Real Estate Group. I have about 8 agents that work with me. I'm sorry, 7. And so we're just excited to be here tonight to share with you guys.
Absolutely. And as you guys just heard, so we will be talking about home ownership, buying
Yeah.
homes, the process that looks like. Um, and you're hearing it from certified real estate agent, 27 years in the game.
Yeah.
Um, so that's what we gonna do.
All right.
Housing has definitely been, in my limited knowledge, seems to have always been a big issue in within the communities. More specifically, home ownership.
Okay.
Um, you know, I can remember, a friend of mine that was renting a place, and I remember asking him, like, I thought you had maybe moved when I found out where he was, and he was like,
Okay.
no, like I've been here for I think it was like 6 or 7 years at that time. Um,
Wow.
and I was like, so are you renting to own, or are you just renting? And he had just been renting.
Oh
And I
my
was
gosh.
like,
For
wow,
6 years. Wow.
for 6 years. And that
Yeah.
just that just blew my mind,
Oh
even
my
though I
goodness.
didn't know the process and the
Hmm.
logistics of, buying a home and home ownership and what all went into that. My
Right.
mind still was telling me, like, for that amount of time, like, you probably could have bought the house by that time.
Absolutely, because yeah, if you're paying $1,000 a month, that's 12,000 a year times 6. So about 70, $80,000 almost. Yeah. So that could have been
Wow.
a house paid off back then. Now it's hard to find something for 80,000 now, but
Right.
yeah, he definitely could have been owning that. But the thing is,
Absolutely.
we all have to start somewhere. So I get it. Even myself and my husband, Larry, before we became homeowners, we were renters. We were renting apartments, and then I think we went into a rental home and all that good stuff. So you do have to start somewhere, and I get it. But the purpose of today is to kind of help people see that it's reachable. It's a goal that's reachable if you just do what the experts kind of guide you to do.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay, so let's get ready to dive into this conversation.
All
For
right.
all the viewers, the chat room will be open. So at any course throughout this podcast, if you have questions or you need clarity on something that we're talking about, please hit us in the chat room. We will bring all of those questions to the table, and we will
Yeah.
discuss them as time permits. So feel free to hit the chat room up with questions, comments, and whatever it is that you may seek. So, Doretha,
All right.
let me ask you a question
Sure.
that I know, um, I definitely didn't know. So I'm going to assume that there are a lot of people that would like to know what
Mhm.
is the first step to becoming a homeowner.
Okay. So typically, the first step would be to reach out to a real estate professional. If it's not me, then find someone that you know will have your best interests at heart. So you want to find your real estate agent. Then that real estate agent, if you have not already gotten your pre-approval, that real estate agent will then guide you to the next step, which is getting your pre-approval. Because the main thing you don't want to do is get out in the market assuming you qualify for 300,000, knowing that that might be your taste, but that just might not be what the lender can give you. So instead of going out there shopping blindly, I always tell people, hey, let's make the second stop the mortgage company. And then what they're going to do is pull the credit, talk about the income, and then they're going to take the amount of money they make per month, subtract out the debts, and then that's going to show how much they can actually loan you or give you. So based off of your car note, any credit cards that you might have, the lender has to take all those payments into consideration because they're getting ready to loan you a big dollar amount. So they want to make sure that, and it's probably going to be your biggest dollar amount on the debt. Um, they want to make sure that you qualify for it and that you're able to pay them back. So they make sure all the numbers jive. So then after you get your approval, then they say, hey, Doretha, Sarah, Nicole, Tom, he's approved for 300,000. Then they give us what is called a pre-approval letter, and then that's kind of like our ticket to go and start looking for homes. Doesn't mean because you have a $300,000 approval doesn't mean you necessarily want to spend all that, but that's the
Right.
max that they're going to give you. So first step is me, second step is your lender. Then they're going to turn you back over to me, and at that point we're then going to go shopping. So when we find a home, do you want me to keep going? Because I can keep going.
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So then when you find a home, and we, do the negotiations with the seller, the next step would be your, well, let me take that back. When we find the home and then say it's listed for $300,000, that's when we begin our negotiation process. So not necessarily you have to give the seller what they're asking because it's a lot to put into a purchase agreement. It's an 8-page agreement. And so it's a lot that goes in there, not just price, but you might want to have closing costs paid on your behalf. You might want to have them pay for, you might want to do your home inspection, which I ask everybody to do that. Um, the next step is after you've come to your negotiations and you got everything locked in. So then your next step will be your home inspection. Now that's where we have a team of guys, and you can choose whoever you want. But I just have a team that I use and trust. Like those guys they're real. They're the real deal. They don't just try and go into a house and say, "Oh, Doretha, it's not a good house, but yeah, go ahead and sell it." They'll tell me, "No, Doretha, don't let your buyer get this one." So I really do love the team that I have. So they go in and they inspect the plumbing, the electrical, the roof, everything you can think of, that's operations in the house. They go in and check all that. And then that's when we come back to the table again with the seller and say, hey, we found out that the HVA system is about to go out. I know we said we'll give you 300, but if you can't fix it, can you come down to 90, so we can get us a HVA system one day. Um, so there's a lot of different negotiations when it comes to the things that are found on the inspection. They can fix it for you before closing, or they can do just what I just mentioned, come down on the price a little bit, or even give you money at closing to get those things done. So once that's done and we negotiate all that, then the lender is going to send out what is called the appraiser. That
Okay.
appraiser, he actually is the guy that comes out and says, oh, hey, let me go through and make sure this house checks out because the bank wants to give them 300,000. I need to make sure this is a $300,000 home. So they're going to go through just like an inspector probably would, but on a lower level, and just say, okay, yeah, it does have the granite countertops. It does have this. It does have that. And so then he reports back to the bank and say, okay, yes, this house is worth this dollar amount or more. And
Okay.
sometimes it can come in less. And then that's when we're back at that negotiation table again, if it does come in less. So typically after all that, once your appraisal is done, you close in about maybe 2 weeks after that. So it's a good 30 to 45-day process once we sign the purchase agreement to close. Um, and then we're off to closing.
Okay. Okay. 30 to 45 days. All y'all
Uh-huh.
from this popcorn generation. Y'all hear that? We gonna have to exercise patience
Yes.
and getting this thing done properly, decent, and
Yes.
in order. It's not gonna happen
Yeah.
overnight. It's gonna be a
It
process.
It's
Um,
going to be a process. And typically, the longest process is the lending part. Even though you've gotten your pre approval, it now the lender is going to kick into gear of giving you a full approval. You've been pre approved based off your credit and the amount of money you make. But then they have to dig deeper and then start calling your employer to make sure you're really employed there. They go into getting rental history. Your rental history. They go into the background at that point um,
okay.
to get you approved.
And that makes sense when you're talking about that kind of a number. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, people want to make sure their money is being
yeah,
put in good hands and
yep,
and being
absolutely.
responsibly taken care of. With that in mind, how important is your credit score?
Okay, so credit score plays a very important part in the home purchase process. It can get you denied. It can get you a higher interest rate. It can get you the best interest rate. It just depends on what that is. So typically, lenders like to see you anywhere for an FHA loan, um, 580 or more. I think 620 kind of is like the going rate now that they're, that going number that they like to see. But some loans will get you approved at 580 credit scores. So the credit score though, it has a lot wrapped in it. Um, your credit score is basically involving how well you pay per month in the past, how well you've paid um, in the past. It's going to show things that you paid off. They want to see, your current installment loans, how you've been doing on those. They want to be able to see if you got student loans. They want to see all those, type of payments. So your credit score entails a lot. A lot of people think, oh, if I get 6 or 8 credit cards, I'm good. I got a good credit score. That can kind of be a bad thing because then the bank is looking at you like, oh, you have too much credit. So I think we kind of discussed this part before about not having a credit score versus having a credit score.
Right.
So 900 is what's perfect. That's a perfect credit score. And, that number comes from the fact of how much credit you have, how well you pay on time.
Okay. So you mentioned that typically, you can like get the process started at like a 580. They typically look for a six something. In that context, what would be like the ideal? What would be a good score? Of course, we understand
Mhm.
900 is the best, but
Yeah.
what would be
Yeah.
like a good score to where it may not be 8 or 9, but like this is good. And I understand the other complexities that
Sure.
you just talked about with
Sure.
your history and how you pay things off. But what credit score range would be considered a good credit score?
About 680 or more would be
Okay.
considered a reasonable credit score. But even with that, you can take that credit score and say, oh, I got a 680, but then you might have too many, loans and debts, which still the 680 is good. But if you have too much credit, that could be a reason why, the bank might deny you and things of that nature. So yeah, 680 or better is kind of what a lot of people fall into, and they look for it to be higher from there.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Yep.
now that the way I'm processing it is that, in that we're looking for lenders to fully finance um, the house. Now, say um, you're coming, like out of pocket
Okay.
with some of it. Like, what difference does that make? Like even if you
Yeah.
need some lending, but you're trying to come out of pocket, what would be like a good ideal number to have available to start that process?
Okay. So to buy a home, if you don't qualify for any first time home buyer programs, the typical down payment is 3.5%. So if you take a 300,000, I always keep using this easy number, the $300,000. So if you
Okay.
take a $300,000 home, um, about $12,000 is what you're going to need for your down payment. On top of your down payment, you also have what is called lenders and title closing costs. So you have your down payment and you have closing costs. Down payment is 3.5%, closing cost is 3%. So when you put those two numbers together, that 12,000 now is about 24 to $25,000 you would need if the seller doesn't pay some of that for you. So a lot of times I can work a deal to where, we'll give the seller their asking price, but hey, Mr. Seller, can you please give my buyer 10,000 towards their closing costs? And a lot of times they'll say yes. So to answer your question again, about 3.5% of whatever that house price is what you would need. But the more you put down, the better you look. So the better your portfolio looks when the lender goes to look into your bank accounts and all that good stuff, the better off you'll be with interest rates and stuff like that too. Because then they see, oh, she's a saver, he's a saver. If they do come into any type of trouble, they got a cushion in there to pay the mortgage, to do this or to do that. So that's typically it.
Okay, man.
Yeah.
So at the top of the broadcast, we were talking about the renting,
Mm-hmm.
um, slash renting to own versus buying. So
Mm-hmm.
and when you look at the renting versus the buying, like why buy?
Okay. So if it's a person that has children with apartment complexes, where would they play? Sure enough, they have, the playgrounds that they can go to, the community playgrounds. But if you're a young couple ready to have children, you want them to have a backyard they can go into where they can, play on the swing set, so on and so forth. Also, it's more privacy. As you know, you can hear people next door if you're in an apartment complex. But if you're in a home, you have a little bit more privacy. Third reason I would say is you do get what is called a tax break when you purchase a home. So your accountant can go over all that kind of stuff with you, but there are credits that you do receive at the end of the year for being a homeowner. Um, so that's pretty much it. And what I say to people is, like my son, I'll give this as an example. I found a house for him about 3 years ago, and he was in an apartment, comfortable as ever, just chilling with that payment. So I'm like, okay. I said, well, son, if you can get a house and pay $900 a month, paying rent at $900 a month, which would you prefer? And he was like, well, I would prefer an apartment because I don't have to fix nothing. I hear that a lot. I could just call the maintenance man and they'll come running. Well, I had to explain to him, true enough, when you become a homeowner, there are things you're going to have to fix and maintain. They come far and few unless you just got a jacked up house. But they do come far and few, those repairs. But I told my son, I said, look at it like this. Instead of you giving the guy who owns this house $900, I mean, yeah, the condo he was in, $900 a month, you could be paying yourself $900 a month. And he looked at it like, well, how am I going to pay myself when it's a mortgage and I got to pay the bank? Because every payment you make goes off of that house payment, off of that house price. So when he bought the house, that house then was worth, and I told him, I said, look at a house as a savings account for down the road. It doesn't happen immediately, but I would say within 2 years of him being in that house, he had about $50,000 to $60,000 in equity. Now, what equity means is if he bought the house at 150, and he now has $50,000 in equity. His house is now worth $200,000. So if he ever wanted to call the bank, which would be Nicole, because she did his loan, I was hoping she would be on here. But when you go to call the bank and say, you know what, I want to pull $20,000 out of my house, you're able to do that because you've built up your savings. Every time you make a payment, you're building that savings up. Um, Houses appreciate anywhere between 2.5% to 3% per year. So just bank on your house being more and more and more worth more, paying the same, but worth more in 3 years. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, okay. So now he sees, now I think he has about 125,000 in equity. And that's over a matter of 3 years of him living there. And so he's like, well, what am I going to, what can I get it? I said, no, let it sit, let it keep building up so that when you do want to sell, that's your bank account. Or if it is an emergency, that's your bank account. So it's not meant for you to just go get it to say, oh, I want to go buy some furniture. Um, I would say let it just build, build, build until you really need to sell it and get it. That makes sense.
Wow. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So now he's
Makes a
like,
lot of sense.
wow, I see now. I see now. I see now why you was like, get this house. So yeah, that's what I would tell anybody that's renting versus buying. Why make someone else rich when you can make yourself rich? Not rich, but you know what I mean.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Why fatten somebody else's pockets when you can fatten your own pockets?
Okay.
Yep. And then just say for instance, a lot of people get into investing. So, say for instance, you bought a house at 150 and is now worth 250. Well, you might see a property that you see that's on the market for 80,000, 90,000, 100,000. That's needs some work and things of that nature. You can start flipping that money, which means you can take that money out of your equity, get you another home, then get that one, keep it for a while, sell it, and then that's how investors keep rolling. So we could talk a
Okay.
little bit more about that later. That's a whole nother subject, investing.
Mm.
Getting a hot flash. I stay ready though.
Nice. I ain't mad at you. You drawing so much information on me right now. I'm getting one too.
Oh, here. It's
Oh
getting hot
man.
in here.
That's nice. So,
We-
in terms of being informed when it comes to this stuff, like clearly we're sharing
uh-huh.
information here, but like what like resources are available for like people who don't know. I know like with you being a real estate agent, um do people contact you? Is there some like how do people is there somewhere people can go to learn what to do when they don't know what to do? And as a real estate agent, do you have the time to to inform and
To
kind of
help.
help and train people in the process?
Yes. So I believe in building a pipeline. So you may not be ready now. I may be working with buyers and helping them, in the field buy homes. But if somebody called me and say, "Well, Doretha, I don't think I want to buy for another year," I'm not going to treat them any different than I would the person that I'm actually dealing with at that moment that's buying, because that's my pipeline. So I will educate anybody that calls me to want to know, hey, Doretha, I got this problem going on. I got that. I'm gonna turn you on to everything that needs to be resolved on your credit. I'm gonna get you connected with Nicole, the lender. Um, uh, if you want, if you're a first time home buyer and you want to go through first time home buying programs where they have government programs that can pay your down payment for you. I'm gonna get you connected with that. So anybody that calls me, I don't treat them any different. I just believe in educating anyone who calls. Anyone who calls.
Okay, and I think that was a big one because I know a lot of times, just look at the thought of wanting to buy a house, and as we stated at the top of the hour, like the market And
Yeah.
like back then you could probably get a nice house, or the 80,000 would get you close. But
Yeah.
like nowadays, like it's hard to find a good one, so that can be intimidating to a lot of people when you look at the numbers, and then not
Hmm.
knowing, sometimes it's like, okay, well, I don't have, you know 150,000. I don't have 200,000 to
Hmm.
do that. So that stagnates them in this
Yeah.
process of even trying to learn and figure out what resources are out there, in terms of home, first time home owners, courses, and they'll pay the down payment for you. A lot of time people just don't know that. And because the
Yeah.
task seems so daunting, they don't even make the
It
attempt. So
does.
I'm like, I've always wondered, like, when you deal with a real estate agent, is that someone that you can call, and even if you're not ready, they can
Yep.
kind of help walk you through that process of getting prepared to take that first step. So I've always wondered that, and
Absolutely.
I thought that
Yeah.
would be something good for the audience to know.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's home buyer programs they can go through that I can connect them with, even while they're still building credit or working on paying off things. There's programs that they can go through to even educate themselves even more. So, yeah, call me first and I'll keep you educated. I see Pam, was Pam Hardy.
Yes.
Oh, she can have hot flashes too. I see that.
Okay, that part.
And then Pam Hardy says, really great information. This is something our young people should know. You're right. You're right, Pam. We don't educate our young people enough because you see, it was hard for my son to realize what I was trying to tell him. Like, why you want me to be a homeowner so fast? I'm like, dude, ain't no age limit to this thing. So, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I was also hoping that Nicole could be on here, just to touch on
Okay.
the financial aspect a little more, because I know
Yes.
that that's a big intimidating factor when it comes to
Hmm.
buying a house, because a lot of times you look at these numbers that a lot of times some people haven't touched that much money in their lifetime. So it
Uh-huh.
it, it seems so far reaching and unobtainable. Um,
Hmm.
and I know, and this is from conversations that I've had with, some associates and a couple friends, when we talk
Hmm.
about home ownership, that they are so intimidated by the process and the getting funded. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. So I think that's
Okay. Okay.
information that we definitely need to arm the youngsters and our community as a whole
Yeah.
about. So, you
Absolutely.
know,
Absolutely. But if you have any financial questions, maybe you can shoot them to me and I can see if I can answer them. I'm not the that's not my been around long enough to kind of know a little bit about it. And if I am off Nicola, I can get the right information from Nicole to and I think she said she's gonna come on next week or something like that.
yeah. So we're definitely going to get her
That's
back so
awesome.
we can
Awesome.
discuss that. Um, so we
Good
have
deal. Good
another
deal.
question. My husband is a veteran who's been out of the army for over 30 years. Can he still use his VA loan?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Um, so what he has to do is go and get certified, get what is called his, I think they need the DD-214 that shows that they were in the military. So you take that down to, I mean, you take that you give that information to your lender, and then they're going to tell you exactly how to get that information that you need to get pre-approved through VA. But VA is really good, is a really good loan to have because their inspections are no joke. It's not the normal inspection. They make sure that house is in tip top shape. Interest rates are good when you're using VA. And the big thing, no money down. So veterans don't have to put down, um, a down payment. It's zero down for them. But not to be misunderstood with the zero down. When you buy a home, you do have to have what is called earnest money. So, say for instance, a house is $300,000. You have to put down 1% of that purchase price. So that's $3,000. Once your offer is accepted, that takes the house off the market. We give that money to the seller's agent, and then they hold on to it to closing. Now you get it back at closing, but it's not zero down like most people think. You do have to put something initially down. You just don't have that big old $12,000, payment, down payment to put down. Yep.
Okay.
How do we contact? Okay. All righty. Stephanie Todd. Yes. Good one. Good one. Good one. So I can be reached at 317-902-4291. You can reach me again at 317-902-4291. And my name is Doretha Wallace. I do have other agents that work with me so that, so if I'm out of town or whatever, you're still going to get taken care of by DW Real Estate Group. You're welcome, Pam.
Y'all got that? Y'all get them pens out and write that down.
And Pam, if you need me to get you connected with Nicole before she actually comes on the show, just hit me up and then I will just send me a text and I will make sure you get her information so that she can give you all the VA loan information that you need. She's really good at what she does.
Okay, so is there a difference? Like, say you want to have a house built
Hmm.
versus just buying a house or the renting to own. Is the process any different if you wanted to
Okay.
build something from the ground up?
Okay. So if you're looking for a home and you need it immediately, the route to take would be a pre-existing home is what we call it. So it would be a home that's already done, somebody lives in, they're moving out in 30 to 45 days. And but if you have time to allow the builder to build your home, then it takes anywhere between 6 to 9 months for them to build. Price wise, they're running tit for tat pretty much in this market. Um, but the good thing about building, if you have the time, then you get everything brand new. You get to choose your carpet colors, your house color, your floor plan. Um, Anything that you can think of, your light fixtures, you get to choose, you get to build up your home. So if you have time to build, that's kind of like the ideal, way to go, because you get to, everything's brand new. But then you have the pre-existing homes that a lot of people have actually, remodeled or redid the floors and things of that nature, so you're still getting a good property. It's just not brand new like the builder would be. But there are some downfalls to the new construction. It's not that it's bad, but I guess it can be worrisome to a buyer. So say for instance, once you close, when you build a house, it takes your house all 4 seasons to settle. So your house is brand new to this world, brand new to this climate. So it has to learn winter, spring, summer, and fall. So you're going to hear creaks, you're going to hear cracks, you're going to see cracks and things of that nature. So the builder warrants those things for a certain amount of time, but that's kind of the most, I would say, worrisome part for some buyers. They're just like, oh, this house is just doing too much. But that's what happens, when you build, the house just has to get used to all climates. Um, the construction process could sometimes be a little draining, but that's where I come into play. You don't have to go onto your property and watch them put every nail in. I'm not doing that either, but I'm out there at least twice a week, making sure everything is getting done the right way. When they see me coming, I have a builder's hat and everything. They be like, "Oh Lord, here she come," because I always find something. Because I used to, and let me go backwards. I used to sell new construction homes for maybe 4 years before I became a real estate agent. And what
Okay.
inspired me to be a real estate agent was I used to sit behind the desk 5 days a week, even on the weekends. And I would see realtors come in with their clients, and then they drop them off to me, and then they go on about their business. I'm like, dang, I want to be able to go out and enjoy my Saturday and Sundays as well. So that's what inspired me to be a realtor. I wanted to be, and I always said in my head, I'll never drop off a client at a builder. I'm going to sit right there with you, go over all your paperwork, tell you what you should do and what you maybe shouldn't pick, and things of that nature. We walk the lots together. I'm there with you for your construction process, all your meetings, um, and things of that nature. So that would be one of the most draining parts of the construction process, is just the watching things get done and thinking like, oh, does that look right, and things of that nature. So but that's why I come into play and I handle all that for you.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
here recently, I know like maybe it's probably been about a month ago now.
Uh-huh.
I was watching the news and they was doing a report on these I think they're calling them like canister homes.
Container homes.
Container. I said
Yeah.
canister.
Container
Yeah,
homes. Yep.
container homes. Have you had any dealings with that? Is
I have not sold one, but they're building them up a lot downtown in Indianapolis downtown. So actually, I think on one of my lives, I was showing a container home. So what I do know about them is that they're metal, and that it's a container. It's kind of like, I don't know, a semi truck, the trailer part of it built up and put on a lot. And then they go in and put walls from there. So a lot of times it's not a lot of separation inside of those homes. It's just one big open floor plan. So I heard they're pretty cool though. And so the ones that I've seen, they are actually unique. They're really, really cool. I wish I can pull one up now, and let me just see if I can find one. And
yeah,
then maybe
I thought they were pretty cool when I see when I seen them myself. I was like, wow, that's
uh-huh.
interesting.
Yeah, a container. But they can be so unique, and um I think I just found one. Okay, here's one. I'm gonna turn my phone around so that you guys can see. Maybe are you able to see that?
Yes.
Okay. So it's, see how when I said a semi trailer. Oops. You see how it just look? They're just containers. But this one they've divided. It look like they bought three containers and put them into one, because
Right.
they got little door separations. Let's see if it's another one. They're called. See, that's a container as well. If you can see the metal part up there, but that's a fancy one.
Yeah, that's fancy. That looked like
Ain't that nice? And then this is another container home. You see the metal right there? Oops.
yeah.
That's a container home. So that's what I was talking about when I said semi truck.
Okay.
They look just like containers. Uh-huh. But this one, they turned that one that way, and they turned the other one the other way. That's another container home. But yeah, they're doing them around here now in Indianapolis.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
See,
I
see.
actually like it because I like the open concept look. I really do. But then I guess, you kind of want some privacy where if you have children, y'all go in the living room and we're gonna go in the den. So you kind of want some separation, but I don't know. But
Yeah.
yep, that's a going thing now, container homes.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. And I was going to say too, why while I was I don't know if it was somebody in the chat had mentioned like the different ways to buy a home. A lot of people sleep on Section 8. Have you heard of Section 8 before?
Yes.
Okay. Most people just think of that as rental, low income renting. Section 8 has now bumped up their game. If you have been a Section 8 renter for many years, they take a portion of your rent and put it away for your down payment. I have a client that's getting ready to close now. She has a Section 8 voucher. She bought a $40,000 home. Her payment is about $1,700 a month. Section 8 is paying 1,500 of that. And then
Wow.
all she has to put, yeah. So a lot of people are sleeping on Section 8. A lot of the realtors, I should say, they're sleeping on the Section 8 vouchers and clients that have Section 8. But Section 8 is allowing people to, become homeowners. And say after 30 years, when you pay that house off, that's your house. It's not Section 8's anymore. It's your house.
Wow.
Yep. So I've been
Now,
getting more information about that so that I can get out there in school, give people some more knowledge on it. Um, because they're really just trying to do all they can to make people homeowners.
wow. Yeah,
Hmm
I would have never guessed that. That just blew my mind right there. Like,
Uh, I know.
wow.
And when I got her paperwork and it said her payment was 1,700 and they're putting towards that 1,500, I said, all she has to pay is 200 a month for this beautiful home. And they're like, as long as she stay qualified, she's good. Yep.
Oh, that's nice.
Isn't
So,
that something?
y- yes, it most certainly is.
Yeah.
Y'all, y'all see what I mean, audience, man? Like the things that go on that
Yep.
we have no knowledge of, man. You know, like that's
Hmm
the motivating factor behind why I wanted to do this podcast,
Yes.
because knowledge slash information is power. And there's so
Yes.
many things that we don't know and resources that are available that we aren't aware of. You know,
I'm gonna show
and
you this. I'm gonna see if you can see. I don't know if you can see this or not, but this is one of the documents I received from them. It's called Rent Focused Mortgage Lending. So they basically base your lending off of your rental history with them. And this is a company called INHP, Indiana Housing Partnership.
okay, I've
So
heard of
call me
them.
and I can give people this information too. But this was just to show you proof how they do have loans based off of your rent. You all can screenshot that if you want to, if you can. Yep.
Is
So
that
it's a
is
lot.
that something that
And,
can
and
be found on their site?
yes, you can definitely go to INHP. Let's see, INHP.org. But call me first because I would have to be connected to you to get you to the people that I know that work the program. Even though you can call and get it yourself, I just have special people over there that I like, that I know is going to take care of you. But I was going to tell you, it says here, the rent focused mortgage lending, you have to have 2 year history of on time rent payments despite other credit or financial barriers. You can obtain a rental payment history from, you have to be able to get a rental payment history from your landlord. You have to want a mortgage payment similar to the rent payment and earn a low or moderate income defined by U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development of a household of three can only make 88,200 a year. So if you make 88,200 a year, you're able to get a rent focused mortgage loan. Yeah. Benefits, it says, allows those with traditionally credit bearers to get a mortgage. It provides opportunity to provide wealth as a homeowner. It offers eligibility criteria that is first of its kind for Marion County residents. So this is brand new. Increases the potential of home ownership for families and neighborhoods throughout Indianapolis. So let's tap into this before it's gone, because they'll take stuff away in a minute.
Man.
Yep. You have to meet these criterias: 24 consecutive months of timely rental payments. So you have to have had 24 months, 2 years of timely rental payments, minimal credit score of 580, Household income cannot exceed 100% of your debt to income ratio, or AMI. And I can tell you what all that means. Must purchase a home, though, in Marion County. Home buyers must be buyers' primary residence, so you can't get it and rent it.
Right.
And yep, and you have to have a 3% down payment. Yep.
Wow.
So, mm-hmm. So it's a lot of stuff out here. A lot. People
Clearly.
just have to not be afraid to call and tap into it. If you call and we go through the process, if you get a no, you just got to know. But then you know what to do from, that day forward, versus sitting back wondering, oh, can I do this? Oh, I won't be approved. Just call. Let's see. Because
Right.
I can't tell you the amount of people that have called me and said, well, Doretha, I just don't think I'm ready, but let's try it. And then we call them back, you're approved. And they just didn't know they could.
Right.
Yeah. The Bible says, ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, knock and doors shall be open. We be knocking and seeking over here and praying.
Say that then. Say that then. Hey man,
Yes.
why don't you hit the people with the contact information again? Um,
Okay.
in terms of how to contact you. I just want to make sure they get these opportunities.
Yes.
And let's make sure we get that in the chat for them as well
Okay.
before we leave. So that way they can have it and get that. So anybody
Okay.
that's seeking this route, needing more information, needing an agent, um I strongly encourage you to reach out to Doretha, DNW Realtors. I'm gonna let you give them the information.
Okay, okay. Sounds good. So again, my name is Doretha Wallace. It's been cool being on here with you guys. I mean, this is my language. I love talking real estate. So you can reach me at 317-902-4291. My name is spelled Dorether, last name Wallace. And again, my number is 317-902-4291. Email, if you want it, is blessed realtor at G. No, I'm sorry, blessed realtor 4 at gmail.com. I'll
Mm,
be happy to help you.
that part, and she most definitely will. Y'all see, she did a dance when she said she'll be willing.
Hey,
Y'all
hey.
better reach out and tap in.
Yeah.
um, Man, this has been amazing. This is very
Good.
informational. Like a lot of stuff that I've picked up on, stuff that I've definitely been wowed by. I thank you for that. Before
You're
we
welcome.
get ready to wrap up, we still got about 10 minutes, but
Oh,
um,
okay.
anything else that you think we should know? Like
Okay.
you
Yeah.
hit me with a wealth, so I'm just kind of like I'm gonna give you the floor and let you school us.
That's all right. That's no problem at all. So yeah, again, just if you even have an itch to want to buy, just give me a call. I just say, it's better to just find out than not to know. You'll never know that you failed unless you try, or you'll never know that you can succeed unless you try. So you
Right.
have to just make that step to calling. If you're hearing the news and a lot of people are saying, "Oh, this is a bad time to buy. Interest rates are high." True enough, interest rates are higher than they were 3 years ago during the pandemic. Interest rates were I actually closed on a loan where interest rates were like 1.9%, 2%, 3%. So just imagine those people when they bought, if they're trying to buy now, interest rates are like 7%. So in between 6 and 8%, I would say, somewhere around there. I don't think I've seen eight yet, but I might have. Um, I've heard there are some eights out there. But I was losing my train of thought for a minute, but I got it back. Thank you, Lord. Okay. So
Amen.
yeah, so don't let that interest rate scare you, because it's 7 now, but it was 3 then. So just think like, if it's 7 now, you might qualify for 300,000. If you would have purchased when it was 3%, you qualify for 600,000. So the lower the rate, the more you qualify for, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
A lot of people will say, when I buy a car, I put down $1,000. That takes off $21 off my car payment. When you buy a home, every thousand that you put down takes off about $9. So you have to have a little bit more saved up if you want to, um, lower your monthly payment by putting more money down on the house. But the interest rates that everybody is talking about, true enough, they are a little bit higher. But what I tell people, find the home that you like, because at some point those interest rates will go down, and then you're able to do what is called a refinance. So you can if it's going to be if you're at 7% and then you hear a year later that it's gone down to 4.5, all you got to do is call Nicole and say, hey, put me onto the game, coach. I hear the interest rates are 4.5. I want that. And so then that lowers your payment. So I always tell people, yeah, you're going to pay a little bit more now, but find the home that you like, because there's not as many buyers on the market as if it would be if interest rates were really, really low. So
Right.
people are finding their dream homes and then just refinancing them later, if that makes sense.
Yep.
You might pay $1,500 or $1,800 or $2,000 for your mortgage payment now, but once they go down, that could significantly lower your payment to, anywhere between $200 to $300 more per month. Um, so, how people say, pain don't last always, and it doesn't, even with that mortgage. I even missed out. I didn't refinance like I should have when those rates were down to 2 and 3%, and I surely wish I would have. We're at a 4, which is still not bad, but I just wish I had took advantage of the interest rates where they were. I was too busy helping everybody else that I forgot to help myself. So I missed out. So I was saying all that just to say, don't listen to the news if they say, oh, interest rates are just too high. Let's do it anyway, because I promise you, you'll be happy. If you wait till they go down, then you're going to have an influx of buyers out there, where you're now going to have to start having these bidding wars. Everybody's trying to buy a house. So if we go look at a house, it might be 5 buyers to one house when interest rates go down. Being that they're higher right now, if you find a house that you like, that might be your house, because you might be the only one that's looking at it. Because
Mhm.
a lot of buyers just sitting back saying, I'm just gonna wait. I'm just gonna wait till the rates go down. Well, we don't know when that's gonna be. So I would get the house that you want and then just refinance later. I can go on and on. It's 7:55. I got 5 more minutes, don't
You most certainly do. Have at it.
I? Yeah. So let's see. I was gonna talk about the interest rates being higher. Don't let that scare you. And to go back when we were talking about the steps of buying a home, a lot of people will say, well, do I have to get a home inspection? I highly suggest that you do, because we can go into a fully remodeled home. It looks beautiful. You'll say, it just don't look like nothing could be wrong with this. But inside those walls, you just never, ever, ever, ever know. So the inspection company, they're going to go into the electrical, the plumbing, the roofing, and all that. So I always tell people, because when they go with me, I say, it's one of my requirements, even though I can't make anybody get a home inspection. That's just one thing I will always suggest, that a person gets a home inspection. It's better to have a peace of mind than to later get into your house, start making everything work, and then the electricity on the other side is not working right.
Right.
Because you just didn't get it inspected because it just looked beautiful. And unfortunately, you do have a lot of investors out here that's just putting lipstick on houses. They're just making them look pretty, but they're not going and doing the mechanicals of it. They're just making it look pretty. So I always tell people that is definitely something that I suggest, is a home
Wow.
inspection. But Nicole, I'm gonna tell you, she's really good at what she does. She's going to, when you do call me, and then I get you connected with her, she's going to look at your whole situation, as it relates to your income and your debts, and then she's going to let you know exactly, if you, even if you're not ready, she's going to put you on a plan to get you ready. Because as I spoke about the pipeline, we always try to build our pipeline. I have to, I have clients now that's in credit repair that'll be ready next year. So that's kind of how we do it. We make sure we just take you in and love on you and guide you and tell you exactly what needs to be done so that you can fulfill the American dream as well.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have one last question before we get
Okay.
ready to get out of here. And that is, when you refinance, is that just like starting your 30-year mortgage countdown all over again?
It is. It is. Yes. There are programs where you can refinance into a 15-year mortgage. They have different stages, but if you're just doing a regular FHA, yeah, it's like starting all over again. It is. Yeah. But it
Wow.
shouldn't take you, yeah, it shouldn't take you as long though, because say for instance, if you've been in your house 10 years and then oh, that's another thing. When purchasing a home, every payment that you make, that first 10, I would say that first 10 years, it doesn't really go toward paying down the house as much. You get more into knocking off that balance after that 10th year or so. The lenders got to get theirs first. So if you got a $1,500 payment, 11 might be going to the bank. 400 might be going towards your balance. But then as the years go on, the more and more goes towards your balance. So to answer your question, Mrs. Todd, it does start over. But there are some programs out there that you don't have to get right back into a 30. People think, well, if I refinance from a 30 year into a 15 year, that means my payment's going to be double because now I want to get it paid off faster. That's not necessarily the case. If it's a 15-year mortgage, from a 30-year to a 15-year, it might be a difference of $500 to $600 versus that whole payment that you're thinking of. That's kind of like a human way of thinking of it. People will say, well, if I don't want a 30-year, but I want a 15-year, that means that $1,200 payment is now going to be $2,400. So that's not really the
Right.
case. Yeah. Yeah, that's not really the case. So it's just so much out there, so much knowledge um, when it comes to buying a home, and so many programs that people just don't tap into. That I can't wait to share. I don't hold anything. A lot of people, I have other agents that I've called before and say, well, can you share with me how you did this or how you did that? Yeah, you'll learn. You'll get it. That's not me. If it's something out there that I know, I'm gonna give it to you as well. Why hold on to it? So just
Right.
know when you come with me, I'm giving you all the nuggets that you need. So again, 317-902-4291.
Voila. There you have
This
it.
was fun. I
Man,
enjoyed this.
man, I thank you so much, man. That was
Yeah,
very informative, enlightening.
good.
I'm sure it was to our audience as well. So again, if you're in that space, if you're having thoughts, if you're having doubts, if you have concerns, reach out to Doretha and let her answer your questions.
I would
Um,
love to.
and get you all the information that you need. Y'all see how she is. She's so into the service that this work provides her that
Thank you.
she forgot to do her own refinancing. Did y'all catch that?
Yes.
She was
Yes.
so busy helping other people get their homes and get their business handled that she
Yes.
forgot to handle her own. That's somebody who
I
is
got it
truly a
slipped
servant
up.
and loves the service. So y'all make sure y'all reach
Yes.
out, man. And again, sis, I thank you
You're
um,
welcome. Thank you.
for coming on. For everybody that logged in, I appreciate y'all time. Definitely hope y'all were as empowered as I was this evening. And we'll be back again next week, 7 p.m. Eastern, where we elevate and illuminate and empower our communities. Y'all have a blessed evening, and we'll see you
Have a good
again next
evening.
week. God
Thanks for
bless.
having me.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure.
Okay. All righty. Bye bye.